My name's Harrison, and last year during the pandemic I was studying for my masters, and at the moment I'm freelancing and looking for a more suitable role for myself for the future. I've been struggling with my mental health really since kind of early teens, maybe even before that. I used to have a heart condition called supraventricular tachycardia, which probably started the anxiety and the depression. So now we're 11 years on, and it's been a constant kind of battle. Lots of learning about myself, learning about how to deal with my mental health, how to stay kind of 2 steps ahead of it. I didn't really have many kind of aspirations. It was mostly kind of just getting myself into a nice place with my mental health. I was particularly struggling probably back end of 2019, especially kind of just before the pandemic, early 2020. I was spending kind of weeks in my room, not really going out, not really socialising, not really doing anything productive. Decided to go out and play football to try and get myself outside and active, and unfortunately I dislocated my knee and then was inside for another couple of months just before the lockdowns. Before the pandemic I really struggled to kind of be motivated and get out, and I spent about 3 or 4 months inside due to kind of my poor mental health and depression, and also with the knee injury that I sustained. Once the lockdown first came into effect, I was only kind of thinking it would be a couple of weeks. I mean, that's what we were told at the end of the day. Give it a few weeks and we'll be able to come outside again. And once that kind of time just kept ticking over, and it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, I was really struggling to keep motivated and to keep sane, to be completely honest. It was a lot of time with myself, kind of looking for stuff to do, looking for kind of a bit of inspiration. Yeah, so I started uni, I started my master's course September 2019, to finish near enough September 2020. We got about 6 months through and everything was kind of curtailed. The master's was extended, deadlines were kind of scrapped and chucked everywhere, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I found it really difficult to actually sit down and focus on my work when there was so much kind of there's so much uncontrollable stuff happening around me. The lockdown and the isolation was something that was difficult at first, but I learned to kind of deal with it. Some of the problems that kind of arose during that lockdown was that my contract at work expired and there was no funds to fund my contract, so I was left unemployed. Left me in a position where I had to look for work in order to feed myself, to stay afloat, pay rent, etc. And there was nobody employing anywhere. It was such a frantic time, and I was lucky enough to find myself a job kind of cycling around delivering stuff from the supermarket to people. One of the things that I really missed about normal life during the lockdowns was just being able to have that kind of free reign and go for a walk whenever you want. It was a case of kind of going for one walk a day or going and getting your exercise once a day, and going to the supermarket was that escape really from kind of that isolation. My parents moved back to Wales right at the start of the lockdown accidentally on the first day. They were moving some stuff back to Bridgend in South Wales when the lockdowns happened, and it was a case of you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't cross the borders to come back, so they just moved straight in. I think they lived off Amazon for a bit, and I was stuck in a small dingy flat near Portswood, and there just wasn't much to do at all. It was, I think I played PlayStation for a good amount of time. I remember just before the lockdown, when I was particularly struggling with my mental health, I was having kind of erratic tendencies where I'd go to the cash point, empty all my money out my account, and then just go sit at the train station and wait for a train to anywhere. I was really particularly struggling, like in Southampton, and I wanted to find somewhere new and fresh start. And obviously, then the lockdowns happened; it curtailed everything. Before the lockdown, I was like really sociable. Loved to go for a drink with the boys, go down the pub. Just loved the kind of social setting. And now I very much kind of focus on what's happening in my bubble. If I can't affect it, then I usually just turn a blind eye to it. I suppose it's student life. I don't know if it's a mix of losing that student life at the very same time as the lockdown's happening. It's moulded me into this completely different person. It gave me a bit of a kick up the arse to go see the doctor and go and get support. So I went into therapy, started new medication, and ultimately that's probably what got me into a good place throughout the lockdown, and it put good foundations in for what I'm able to do now. And ultimately it would have been a completely different story if I didn't have the kind of wherewithal to access support from the GP and the NHS and steps to wellbeing. So I've definitely I'd say I've learnt a lot about kind of my mental health and stuff since the lockdown, and how to control it and how to better it, to be honest. After a few months of the lockdown, I think it was like the start of May, me and my friend Callum decided to go out and do a lot of cycling around kind of Waterlooville, Lovedene, around that area, the country lanes, and it was really nice because the weather was glorious and there was no cars on the road, and we were able to just kind of cycle as and when, wherever we wanted to, in the sunshine and with the quietness on the road. And it was really nice. It was nice to get out of the house firstly, and then secondly it was nice to be active and just get fit, to be honest. Cycling really helped with my mental health because I was able to just go out and forget about anything that was happening in the world and just focus on being out on the bike. It's pretty difficult to think about other things when you're riding at maybe 20-30 miles an hour down country lanes, wary of the potholes and stuff like that. So me and my friend Callum would just go out as much as possible, and every time try a new route, see something different, and that's really what got me through kind of the most difficult months of the pandemic. Yeah, I realised that I wasn't going to be the only person in the world to pick up cycling and find some kind of solace in the bicycle during that time. So I made an effort to kind of find other people who have experienced something similar when it comes to cycling and being able to go out and have that kind of enjoyment in life during that time. And I've made some good friends, people I still talk to this day, purely just from kind of going out and cycling and producing little videos to chuck online just as a way of passing the time and getting the engagement through that, and just chatting to new people, learning about their story, people who have reaped the benefits from going out and being on the bike. Me and my friend Cal were coming down this country lane in Lovedean, and I remember it was really close to loads of farms and there wasn't many houses around, and we stopped quite suddenly because we saw this amazing view of the whole kind of countryside, and there was a few mountains and just nice open air. So we stopped, and then as soon as we stopped taking photo, this cat comes sprinting out the bushes, and it was just meowing continuously, rolling on the floor. Seems like it wanted attention, so yeah, we kind of said hello to him, and then we were on our way. And as soon as we looked behind us, we could just see this fluffy cat just chasing us up the road, and it must have chased us a good like 3-4 miles, following us anywhere we went. And then it started to get dark, and didn't really know what to do with it. He was covered in ticks, fleas, knots of fur, and he just seemed like he wasn't in the right place. So just made the decision to empty my bag out, put him in the bag and carry him home. It was about 10-kilometre walk with a cat in my bag. It must have looked so weird to some of the people who were out and about. But yeah, no, I gave him a wash that night and then took him to the vet the next day. No chip, nobody's reported him missing or anything like that. So I tried Facebook, tried all the social media, and nobody got in touch with us. One day turned into 2 days, turned into a week, few weeks, and now we're at I think it was just over a year ago, and still got Rodney, which is his new adopted name. He's now chipped, registered, and everything like that. And I think a good saying that I've seen is that pets have owners, but cats have staff. I'm constantly running around after him, making sure he's fed and stuff like that. He knows what time his feeding time is, and it's just nice to have a routine, and that again helped me during the lockdown. Having something to wake up to, wake up for, and having to do stuff when you wake up, and starting off productive and stuff like that. It was really difficult to kind of comprehend, like suddenly one day I was out cycling and the next day I'm looking after this cat. Now it's just over a year and he's still just chilling. He's probably the happiest cat. I've always had cats growing up, and he's probably the happiest cat I've had or seen. I do think like he's probably chosen me rather than anything else. Like you could just tell he's just a lot happier now than what he was. It was quite difficult at first, where he had the ticks and fleas and knots of fur. It was difficult to get him back into a good condition where he could be happy. Like I remember him just crying continuously because he was always itchy and stuff like that. And I do find myself a lot of the time picking him up, having a conversation and chatting. God knows whether he understands me or not, but it's nice to kind of have that escape and have that release as well. And if I'm kind of at a loose end or feeling a bit anxious about something, like it's nice to just pick him up, have a bit of a stroke, chill out. When you see anybody in distress, it's not nice. And once I saw Rodney, it was kind of just like I needed to make sure he was alright, and I'm glad that he's doing a lot better now, and rather than meowing all the time because he's itchy, just meows for food. I wouldn't change anything that happened in the lockdown. As much as it was a difficult time for me and for many people out there, I think I was able to kind of hold my head up high and get through the difficult period. The last kind of 18 months have been particularly difficult with COVID, but I'm finding myself now in a place where things are more under control than they were, and I'm quite excited for the future. Having a cat weirdly really helped.